Hi, my name is Gina, and this is Narc-Anon, where we use different 12-step literature to address and heal from not only narcissistic abuse, but other toxic relationships, including those with alcoholics and addicts. We primarily use Al-Anon and Coda literature, but also we'll be using Narc-Anon and some AA literature and just whatever is useful, as it's all useful. So please, if you are interested in this video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. That's what this channel is. And I think that's it. I think we'll get started with today's reading. But before we do, as every day, we will start by saying the Serenity Prayer. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Today we're reading from Courage to Change, and we're reading April 16th. I came into Al-Anon in so much pain that I quickly opened my arms and my heart to whatever the program and its members were willing to show me. What I discovered is that what I go through in life is not as important as how I interpret the experience. In other words, I have a choice about my attitude. For instance, I always expected my happiness to come through others, especially my alcoholic parents. I spent most of my life waiting for them to show their love and approval in a way I could understand. They didn't, and I felt deprived and unlovable as a result. Al-Anon has helped me to interpret my situation differently. Through working the steps, I have learned that I am lovable, regardless of what a parent or anyone else thinks. I can either feel sorry for what I have missed, or I can appreciate the chance to learn, to love, and appreciate myself. I do some of both, but today I know I have a choice. Today's reminder: it's time to stop waiting for others to take care of me. The only person who can love me the way I want to be loved is me. And the quote: gradually, I accepted the fact that my if-only wishes were not about to come true, but I also learned that I could be happy even if they didn't. Awesome reading, awesome reading. I'm gonna assume that most of the people who will be watching this video the first line of this says, I came into Al-Anon in so much pain that I quickly opened my arms and my heart to whatever the program and its members were willing to show me. Well, that's certainly how I came into Al-Anon. Real quick, for anyone listening to this that doesn't know, I went into Al-Anon because the person that I had been dating for years was an alcoholic. I was very desperate to understand. The words so much pain don't even slightly touch. They don't even come close to what I was feeling when I first went to Al-Anon. I was downright insane with grief. I don't even know if I could have formulated a sentence properly for months, because my brain was gone. She gone. The pain was severe. And I'm assuming that most of the people who are looking into getting help from dealing with narcissism or alcoholism, they're to that point that they're just if you're at a point where you are hurting so bad that you'll do anything that somebody suggests to get out of it, this is the place for you. And that's it. I was beat into submission. And come to find out, so when I came into Al-Anon, I was in so much pain that well, first off, let me say that even though I didn't see anybody else there in pain like I was in pain, they told me that they had been where I was, and I believed them. I had no reason not to, and it didn't even matter at that point because it was worth taking a chance on a lie. I had already taken years of chances, hundreds of chances, thousands of chances from one person that were all lies. So why not go for a group of people possibly telling me lies, because those people weren't going to hurt me like the other one did. So what did I have to lose? So I was prepared, fully prepared, to listen to any suggestions. If you think you can help me stop feeling like death, please help me. And this is my little girl Willow, and you guys will see her in videos, I'm sure, sometimes. And she is a very, very awesome little 12-stepper in the making. This is another thing why I really encourage anybody who is on this channel who has any experience in any 12-step program, please subscribe and follow me. And if this channel works out like I hope it will and ends up being a place where people are going to come, you know what I'm talking about, the newcomers into Al-Anon and now Narc-Anon, which is my dream of a 12-step program. You can just imagine, if you've come out of dealing with alcoholism or narcissism through a 12-step program, and you know what it was like coming into that program, being so desperate for help that you've tried everything, you don't know where else to go, and you can't do nothing anymore. So yes, if you are an experienced 12-stepper in any program, please stay here, because if this does work out the way that I hope it will, there are going to be a lot of people, newcomers, that are very lost, and I want to try to be true to the program, and these people are going to need a lot of help. It's a lot to learn coming in, and I'm hoping that this could end up being potentially a good online 12-step resource for anybody who needs 12-step. I mean, and I'm not saying that this channel is or isn't for any 12-stepper. You got an alcohol or a drug problem, welcome aboard. You're overeating, welcome aboard. You're gambling too much, welcome. I know in-person meetings are always the best option, but listening to literature, 12-step literature. There's so much wisdom, and to be able to talk about it and kind of pick it apart is beneficial to anybody, I believe. And obviously this channel is just me speaking from my experience, and hopefully in the future we can get some more 12-steppers in with me to kind of almost have like a mini meeting where we can all say a few pieces on whatever the topic. But that would be really cool, and hopefully that's something we could do in the future. But back to the reading. I find a lot too, because I do take this, in the aspect of dealing with alcoholism and in the aspect of dealing with narcissism, is that there is obviously a ton of overlap because they're extremely similar diseases, if not the same mild theory or what. I mean, they're more or less the same. So even though there are a lot of overlap, there is a lot of difference also. So sometimes I try to split it if I see that if I feel like there's a difference, and because I've dealt with both alcoholism and narcissism, I just speak from my experience on both topics. The person that I ended up going into Al-Anon for because they had a drinking problem turned out to be a full-blown malignant narcissist. And so that put a little spin on things, but more or less, it doesn't even matter at that point because I was so well into my process of healing through 12-step. At that point, I had like 2 years in Al-Anon, thinking that this was just an alcoholic I was dealing with at the point that I discovered that they were a narcissist. So I had a good foot in the Al-Anon door and a good hold on the program to have basically pulled myself out of the hole. And now it was, I was still suffering. Not that I'm going to say I wasn't, but it was a lot easier. And then it was like the second I put that puzzle piece in, which is why Narc-Anon is a puzzle with piece missing, because as soon as I put that puzzle piece in, figured it out, that's the narcissism piece of the puzzle. As soon as I figured that out, it was kind of all downhill from there, smooth sailing. So enough off with the rants and the tangents. Back to the reading is, so we're gonna say most people, whether it's drugs, alcohol, or an addiction to another person, which that's really what codependence is. So addict or codependent or whatever it is, whatever 12-step program you're coming into, I believe that everybody pretty much is at a rock bottom of life when they come in. Nobody who has a drinking problem that doesn't see that they have a drinking problem is like, oh, hey, I think I'm going to go to AA today. Sounds like a fun thing to do. No, it's no different for Al-Anon or Coda or anything else. You're at a low point when you come in. So that's I just keep coming back to this, and I don't know why. Obviously there's some reason that I keep coming back to this. So much pain, because I don't ever want to forget or downplay the level of pain that dealing with addiction or somebody that you love being a full-blown addict and or being a narcissistic robot, because there's no, it's like a human robot. You're walking, I see you eat food, I see you drink water, you talk, you can look like you feel things. Why shouldn't you? I mean, how is my brain supposed to even comprehend that you can't feel things? But you don't. You're soulless. I just never want to forget or downplay the severity of the pain that somebody like that can cause another person. Somebody who will go so far out of their way just to injure you, injure your spirit, injure the way that your life is, try to take things from you, try to take other people from you, try to steal your soul, just wicked, like things that you can't. I mean, I couldn't, when this was all new to me, I couldn't, and I still sometimes, I'm like, man, how is that possible? How are you and I of the same chemical makeup, and yet you could go out of your way, you could make it inconvenient for yourself just to hurt me? How is that possible? But it is, because it happens every day. It's happening to people all over the world. It's happening all the time. Narcissism is rampant in this world, and it is growing fast. And it's a sick thing. So what do we do about it? We drag ourselves barely alive, hanging by a thread, into a 12-step group. And we keep our ears open and we keep our mouths shut, well, as much as we can. We have a lot of tea to spill when we get into these rooms, but it's important that we listen more than we talk. But if you need to talk, by all means talk, but more importantly, listen when you get into these rooms. What I discovered, I'm just going to go through this piece by piece. This is what I discovered, is that what I go through in life is not as important as how I interpret the experience. In other words, I have a choice in my attitude. For instance, I always expected my happiness to come through others, especially my alcoholic parents. I spent most of my life waiting for them to show me their love and approval in a way I couldn't understand. They didn't, and I felt deprived and unlovable as a result. Let's talk about a few different parent types. First, we'll talk about alcoholic parents, just because that's what they're talking about here. Alcoholic parents, and even narcissistic parents, you have an expectation of what you think love is and what a parent shows love is. An alcoholic or an addict could be very well intended and want to show you love, but they're so caught up in their addiction that they miss it. It's just like right over the head. Just totally miss it. A narcissistic parent who sees you as an extension of themselves, and sometimes, won't. If you have that type of parent that you can never do good enough, you can end up a freaking, neuroscience, a neurosurgeon. You could be doing brain surgery, and you never once get an acknowledgement from your parent saying, wow, look what you've made of yourself. you've really turned out to be a great person. And that whole time you're just waiting for the day they're gonna tell me they're proud of me. They're gonna tell me they're proud of me. And it's probably never gonna come. Probably never gonna come. So what can we do, or if the alcoholic parent, and even we can be resentful looking back as kids, if we had a parent that was on drugs that we, wanted to spend time with us, but they were passed out in another room, or we were scared because they were passed out in another room, that could be a huge source of sadness, for a child. Or say you have one alcoholic parent or addict parent, and then the other is codependent and ends up being the complete, trying to hold everything together, trying to fix all of the, running around after the addict, trying to clean up all the messes, and forgets about you because they're so busy cleaning up the messes. And then when they do interact with you, it's probably not great because they're out of their minds from dealing with the addict. So then you've got like one who's just totally gone, their brain is gone, their mind is gone, and then the other one who's so overcompensating that they're overbearing and crazy. There's just so many variations between addiction and narcissism, and I'll tell you, God bless you all, for anybody who's had narcissistic parents and or addicted parents, and some of us have had a little of all of the above. So the thing is that one, it's how we interpret it. It is how we interpret the experience and how we choose to have an attitude about it. I think this is the point. If you think about yourself as a person and whatever it is that you're passionate about, and I don't know if you have children or not, but if you do and you're not a scumbag, you are going to try to do the best that you can for your children. And that is whatever you think that you need to do to give your children happy lives. We have different ideas of what those things may or may not be. And for one person, it may be financial. Like maybe I feel like if I can send my kid to the best school and never have them really want for anything, if I give them lots of cool gifts, and maybe that makes me a good parent, and maybe it does. Maybe that person grew up in a situation where they didn't have much, and that was like the thing when they were like, man, when I'm a parent, I'm gonna make sure that my kid has the cool stuff I didn't have. And maybe for the next parent it is, okay, my parent yelled a lot, so I'm never gonna yell around my kid, and they don't do that. Maybe another parent was physically abused and they said, I'm never gonna do that. Whatever it is, every parent, every person has a set of things that their parents did or didn't do that they are like, it was horrible, I can't believe they did that or didn't do that, and I'm never going to be the same way with my kids. But because of our experiences, it's always different. So what I say I would never do or would do because my parents did or didn't do them is going to be different from yours, and what you would or wouldn't do because your parents didn't do them. And it's all correct, if that makes sense. It's correct because it's the best that we can do. Now, unless you are a malicious narcissist and you are using your child to feed your ego, or you're using your child as supply, or you are using your child to gain in some way, unless you are a malicious whole of a human being, you really cannot do wrong. And none of us can truly be resentful at a parent for doing the best that they could, because that's all they knew. And because we wouldn't do it differently, if we lived the way that they lived, we probably would do it exactly as they did it. We didn't have the experiences that they had. So this is really about releasing forgiveness, forgiving our parents for how they raised us and what they did or didn't do. And I can't say comparatively if my upbringing was worse than the next person or not. I can say that I feel like things were difficult for me. I can also say that my brother's experience was completely different than mine, even though we grew up in the same house with the same parents and we're only a year apart. We had completely different experiences. So I won't begrudge, and I did for a long time, but I am learning that for the most part, things were done with good intentions. And how could you be mad at that? Our parents just want the best for us. And we want the best for our kids. So all we could do is the best that we could do, and make choices, and then be firm in our choices. Be firm in our confidence in our choices. And not everybody's going to like everything we do all the time. But we can make a choice and we can run with it. And know that we believe that we are doing the best thing that we could be doing in that situation. If we know that we might not be doing our best with something, we can meditate, we could pray about it, pray for guidance, pray for help in that area, that defect of ours. And we can work on it. Try to do the next right thing. Try to remember that. Always try to remember to try to do the next right thing. That's all that we could do. We could fall off, we could have a bad day, we could screw up, do something unsavory, react unsavory. But we just need to remember that we need to keep doing the next right thing. I think that the moral of this whole thing is just to, one, as we've been talking about, is to realize that our parents did the best they could, most of them, unless, like I said, they were malicious, malignant narcissists who went well out of their way to injure you. If they weren't that, then they did the best they could, and they tried. And they may have forgotten things, they may have left things out, they may have...
There you go!
Wow, that's really beautiful.
And it's big.
Wow, it's like a hamburger. Is it a hamburger? So yeah, they did the best they could. We can grieve, we can regrieve the things we didn't get, the love we didn't get. So yeah, I think the key is here is that we can know that our parents did the best they could. We could grieve the things that we didn't get that we thought we needed. We can't go back and get them now, but we can acknowledge, walk through it, grieve it, and then start figuring out how we're going to give those things to ourselves. The last thing I want to say on this, and then I'm going to be done, is the quote, "Gradually I accepted the fact that my if-only wishes were not about to come true. But I also learned that I could be happy even if they didn't." That's like a huge Al-Anon screaming tagline for me. Is that we promise that you could be happy whether or not the alcoholic is still drinking, which seems totally unfathomable when you come in to Al-Anon. But that's actually the truth, and this pertains. I feel like really, this is like I feel like this is that this is that same tagline, but more for dealing with a narcissist. Not more, it's the same. But gradually I accepted the fact that my if-only wishes were not about to come true. But I also learned that I could be happy even if they didn't. Man, when we're dealing with narcissists, to say, like, how many times when a conversation didn't go the way you wanted it to, and you were about to get ghosted for a few days, get a few days of silent treatment, or you were going to get stonewalled for a little while, and you know it's because you didn't say what you were supposed to say, and you sit there for days and hours, and you're just like, oh man, if only I would have done this. If only I wouldn't have confronted them. If only I would have just let it go. If only this person thought I was better at something. If only the narcissist would stop playing games. If only they stopped drinking. If only they married me. If only we could have a child. If only whatever. It would change everything. Everything would be better. And again, I will read, gradually I accepted the fact that my if only wishes were not about to come true. But I also learned that I could be happy even if they didn't. Yeah. Here I have found that I could be happy, and I am now happy, even though the if-onlys didn't happen. But when I first came here, if you would have told me, and they did, you can be happy, even if the if-onlys don't come true, I didn't believe them, but I was sure willing to stick around to find out and do the work that they said I had to do to try to make it happen, because those if-onlys were going to kill me. Thank you all for listening, and again, please like and subscribe if you're interested. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks. Bye.